Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Sam, I'm an artist and illustrator coming to you from Dublin in Ireland. This is yet another knitting related video, crafting related video. I have been questioning if recording this video or not on my previous podcast right at the beginning of the week. I was asking you if you'd be interested in a what are my needs of 2024 type of video, and although I was of the impression that this type of video didn't really resign into people's YouTube pages any longer, or they weren't really a thing anymore, I have been literally bombarded with messages and comments asking me for this video. So here I am once again filming. It's later in the evening, there's still some light. As you can see, all my lights are on. My kitchen table is absolutely messy, and yeah, I just wanted to get this out for you just because it's nice to have this type of video at the beginning of the year and get a fresh start. So let me set up the camera a little bit better and you can see more or less me in a decent light, and as well the massive pile of jumpers that I have here that is falling apart. So before we start, a couple of disclaimers. I have my notebook here with all the notes because I'm not gonna remember everything. But first of all, disclaimer one, I have a terrible memory. I think all my memory capabilities went away when I stopped university. When I graduated, I stopped using my memory almost completely. So I'm very sorry if I'm not mentioning some type of yarns, type of technique that doesn't come to mind. But I will link all this project, all of my knit of 2024 in the description below, so you can check my Ravelry pages and as well where you can get your patterns. Second disclaimer, and probably the most pressing for me, is that I have knitted a lot. I have knitted a lot of garments especially. I didn't realize how many I've made during the year. But this is not a way to say, oh, look at me, how great I am, I knitted so much, you should do the same, you should knit a lot. Absolutely not. First of all, I am a compulsive knitter. I need to move my hands, so I have the luck of working from home whenever I am in a meeting in which I can switch off the camera, only my presence is needed, and I can follow the meeting without having to take notes or be active on camera. I knit up everything. On lunchtime, if I'm not exercising, I knit. Very early in the morning, before going to the gym or going for a run, I knit. In the evening, I do that as well. So it's part of my day and keeps me sane. Ergo, we have a lot of knits. As well as my knitting technique, I think has been developed to be quite fast. So please don't be concerned, afraid, or feel like I'm pushing on the amount of knits I've made. It's probably not that good that I have so many knits because it's a lot of yarn and it's a lot of money. Anyhow, let me give you some stats on my knits. So in 2024, I've made 2 accessories. Actually, what am I saying? I made 3 accessories. I made a hat, which I'm gonna share you later on. A pair of socks and a pair of mittens. I made 1 toy, and I made 9, 10, 11 jumpers. That's it. So we will go Now, in order of latest to earliest, if it does make sense. But I will show you a couple of my accessory before that, some of which I no longer have with me, or they are in the washer or they've been gifted, so I'm not going to share those. I might just put a picture over here. The first accessory that I want to share with you is a lovely hat. This is the Oslo hat by, is it Petite Knit? And it fits absolutely great. I have used a baby merino by Drops Fingery Weight together with 2 strands of mohair of dubious origin. I found this mohair in my mom's stash, and I just acquired it without saying anything. But I found it's absolutely gorgeous, it fits really well. The thing is that I went down with size. I think this is the 2nd size, and never got much luck with Oslo hats, but going down so drastically with size, I found a perfect fit. I don't know if my head is that small that can't fit a regular size, if my way of knitting is very loose, or if I just don't like very loose hats. So here we go. This is my first accessory. I have knitted actually 2 pairs of these mittens. These are my felted mittens. Is a pattern that I published here on Ravelry. They are knitted in Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn and felted afterwards. You can find this pattern in my Ravelry shop. They are gorgeous, water resistant, very warm. I actually knitted 2 pairs, but I only could find one to show you. The other one, I only found 1 mitten. I don't know where the other is. I should really find it. I'm very proud of this pattern, and yeah, it's been as well very well received by the public, which is quite nice. I have knitted as well the heel tab sock by Larissa Gregorin. They are a nice pair of shorty socks with a heel tab on the back of the sock. I literally use them on a regular basis, so they are probably in the washing machine now. And yeah, I knitted those using Fable by Drops, which is just a regular 75-25 sock yarn. They are my favorite. I don't know why I haven't knitted more socks. It's probably because I kind of focus a little bit more on knitting jumpers and pullovers rather than accessories, but yeah, they are definitely one of my favorite patterns, and if I'm right, it's a free pattern as well. It's very clever the way they are constructed. You knit up the heel tab using short rows, and then you connect together the last round of the tab with the cast on, and you knit your socks. I think it's super clever, and they work very, very well, even if you use runners or trainers shoes. They are just great. One of my favorite patterns. That's it for the accessories. I mentioned that I knitted a toy. I knitted the bear with the... I need to get my book, I can't remember, I told you, my memory is gone. The Bear in a Fair Island Jumper by someone. I put the name here and the links below, so you will be able to find it easily. That has been gifted, so I no longer have it here, but it's the most adorable little teddy bear ever, and I'm so very happy with that. I think I'm gonna make more. It's just that as they come in the house, they go, because people see them and they fall in love. So let's start with the main pile here. A lot of jumpers. We had a trial of a cardigan as well, but I found that I don't know if it's because I haven't found the right pattern or what. I do much prefer jumpers and sweaters than cardigans. That trial cardigan has been gifted away. I think I put it in the charity bin because I wasn't using it at all. But let's just focus on these ones. The first one that you see here is the glaze pullover that I basically just finished. This is a pattern by Andreas Ruthman. It's an interesting construction. It's basically a full-on gathering of short rows everywhere in the jumper to give this lovely wave all around. I did want to knit this pattern. I have been wanting to knit this pattern. I tried all the tenses for the longest amount of time, and finally during the Christmas break I managed to get this on the needle, and it's a gorgeous pattern, extremely well written. It's a bit expensive as patterns go, but it's very worth it. You can even decide to make the jumper two different colors and have this wave in the middle, following the colors, which is absolutely great. This definitely will become one of my staple simple jumpers to knit. I use Holst Garn Super Soft to knit this jumper, and it's beautiful. Second jumper, let me change. And as by magic, I'm back. So, sorry for the light. I'm sure you can see some light showing through. This is the Billy pullover by Sari Nordlund. It's a very nice Aran style jumper, knitted in the round, and I used for this jumper once again Holst Garn Super Soft. It's a great sweater. Holst Garn Super Soft held double. I knitted the second size up for my tendency of knitting very loose. I've knitted many of these ones, I think 2 or 3 in my history of knitting the Billy pullover, because they are a great pattern and it's really one of my favorites. There is a version of this in sort of a beigey color that I'm literally using all the time in the winter. It's super classy, it fits really well, and I'm absolutely enjoying this pattern. It's a great jumper. Nothing much else to say about this sweater, but let's jump into the next one right away, because that is a new pattern. Here we go. Do we want to try to turn on the lights of the living room? Is this any better? I feel like it's maybe like this. Yeah, probably it's a bit better. At least you can see the colors. So this is sweater number 29 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and as you can see, it's another cable style jumper, all knitted in the round from the top down, and it has a nice shoulder pad as well. It's the same cable going all around the jumper, so it's a really extremely easy to knit, and it fits very well as well. I used for this jumper Drops Daisy, which is a merino based yarn, non-superwash, and I found that A, I love this yarn, and B, I need more in my life because it's just the softest jumper ever. Someone mentioned when I was presenting this jumper in my podcast that the yarn tend to get really peely, to peel, to get bubbly a lot. I wore this many times since I knitted, and as you can see, usually the peels come out here under your arm, but there is virtually no peels, and it's gorgeous, if I can say so myself. I knitted for this the third size up, and I used 13 balls of the gorgeous Drops Daisy. Now, a ball of Drops Daisy in Ireland is about €5.50, €6, let's say, depending where you buy it. And it's not the cheapest yarn if you want a jumper made with a type of yarn. It's more or less the same price of, I think it's a Smart by Sandnes or Double Sunday, one of the two. The other merino yarn, non-superwash by Sandnes, which in my opinion it's better quality, better traceability of the yarn sources, ethos of the company, and as well color choices. But because I live in Ireland, there's no much choice of yarn. I have to buy this. So it's not true that Drops is always the cheapest. In this case, it's not. And yeah, but still I love this jumper and it's super soft. We are 17 minutes in, a lot of jumpers to come. Let me change and get to the next one. Okay, here we go. This is the next jumper that I've made this year. Is another saddle shoulder jumper, which has been sitting in my wardrobe for a while, and you can see the saddle are pulling up, which is really annoying. This is Starnfall jumper. I will put once again the name here. It's a pattern by Birger Berge, done for Yarbo. Beautiful color work. The details are just incredible, and I really love the saddle here. It's quite gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I can't say anything else. I knitted this using Rauma Fino, which is a sport weight yarn, black and white, that I absolutely adore as a yarn. The color work pops so much, is so defined, and is a joy to wear as well. I have knitted the second size, if I am correct, and it fits a bit snug, but I'm sure with a bit of wearing or perhaps another blocking will work fine. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing this too much. I don't know if it's because it's so busy that it's a bit flashy, or because of the shoulder. If you see from the viewfinder, you will see from your television, your computer, seems like I have a boat neck, which is something I don't know if I'm ready to. But this is not going anywhere. I'm not gifting this away. I'm going to keep it because it's just so warm and absolutely gorgeous. If I'm correct, it's a free pattern, so check it out. If I remember well, I found this on the Yarbo website. Yarbo is a Swedish yarn company, and they offer hundreds of patterns for free, and they are gorgeous, and the designers that work for them are actually very big names, so you're sure you find something very well written there. Next, let me change. I will get back to you in a second. Here we go with the next one. It's another color work. This time we have a nice yoke color work. It's a raglan, although you can't really tell, and it's absolutely stunning. I have used a combination of yarns here. Don't even ask me what are the yarns. Whatever I had in stash. There are some Drops Daisy, I suppose, the blue yarn. Then we have some Sandnes Smart, which is their DK with some nylon in it. Some Peer Gynt from Sandnes, a combination of yarns. The pattern, I can't really pronounce this, I'll put it here. I found it in Viking Knitting, which is a book that I purchased in Denmark last year. You can find the pattern online, it's quite famous as well. I remember wanting a nice big colorwork yoke, but at the time I don't remember if I didn't have much of a cash flow situation or what. I couldn't really get yarn to new yarn to buy, so I ended up knitting this jumper with bits and bobs of yarn that I found. To be fair with you, I haven't worn this jumper ever since I knitted, and I don't know why, because I really love it. I love the way it fits, the way it feels, the warmth, like a mystery. Like, if I, now that I'm seeing myself in the camera, I really enjoy what I see, considering it's a bit tight on the colorwork side, but nothing that actually is not tight at all. So I don't know, it's the perfect fit, nice little pattern. I should wear this, so I'm going actually to keep it out to put it on much more. Nothing interesting in this. When I say nothing interesting, probably I made a lot of modifications. One of the modifications that I usually make is going down in a stitch count at the bust size by knitting two together every now and then on the underarm side, going down to the bust, and that usually works nice to me to get a bit of a funnel shape towards the hips. Usually these patterns are made for a more feminine shaped body for women, and I'm not shaped like that, so I need to figure out a way to shape my garments, and I think that works fine. Sometimes I add short rows, but I don't think in this case, because the short rows were there already, so a very well written pattern. Let's get on with the next, shall we? Here we go with the next jumper. This is the Islander sweater by Sandnes Garn. And you're right, I'm knitting another one. Identical, but more or less inverting the color. I love this pattern. I can't even tell you how much this pattern, I can't say it means to me, but how much I love this pattern. It's just so relaxing to knit. It's the same tiny color work going through all the jumper, raglan the creases. It's everything that I personally want from a knit. I love myself a bit of color work, and I really love knitting a raglan. It really fits well on me, and it's just so beautiful. This especially, it's a gorgeous pattern that works with everything. I've knitted a lot, 5 or 6 of these Islander sweaters during the years, and I always like them very much, as much that for some of them was a pay-in when I was giving them away. I had a beautiful brown one, brown and beige, that I knitted 2 years ago, that I ended up giving to my father because he really liked that, and how many can I have? I have a black and white, the exact color change on the other side. It was a bit tight, was still fitting, but then it went to my sister because she likes that. So basically the entire family now has an Islander sweater, and I'm making yet another one. The pattern, if I haven't mentioned, is from Sandnes. I always knitted the second size up. It's originally created for a DK yarn. I didn't want to spend more money to buy the pattern written for fingering weight yarn. Therefore, I kind of modified my gauge and my stitch count in order to get the shape that I want in that pattern. It's something that I do quite regularly. Generally, I prefer to knit with fingering weight yarn rather than DK or bulkier yarn, and I find there's no many patterns that I like that use that type of yarn, so I find myself always modifying the pattern that way, but it's part of the fun. Now at this stage, this jumper, I know exactly how it works, so I almost don't look at the pattern anymore. But yeah, it's gorgeous. A thing that I've done is changing color in one of the repeats of the color work just to give an accent, and I'm sure I'm gonna do with the new one as well. Next change. By the way, I haven't mentioned the yarn on my Islander sweater. I use for that sweater a sock yarn, a Drops Fable by Drops. It's a 75-25 fingering weight. When I had my sock moment, I bought a lot of sock yarn of Drops Fable. Especially, it's really inexpensive. It's probably a couple of euros each ball of yarn, and I found that it works fantastically for jumper, makes them really durable. Of course, it has nylon, and as well very soft. They don't itch at all, and itching for me is something that is kind of a deal breaker when it comes to wearing or not wearing a jumper. So, but we were going through the next one, so let me put it on for you. Here we go. You probably are sick of seeing this jumper. This is the Setter Style sweater by Sandnes. I knitted this using Hostgarn Super Soft, again, hold single. It's another colorwork jumper. In this case, we have sticking on the shoulder side, which is completely fine. Hostgarn is a very rustic yarn, so there's no issue in cutting along the shoulders and then sewing. You don't drop any stitches. This week, in my previous podcast, that I had issue with this jumper because it was quite short, and what I've done is cutting off the waistband and knitted it again. As you can see, you can't see a thing. You can't really even see where it's picked up, which is absolutely what I wanted. I was so torn if this was a keeper or not, but I really like the feeling. The light color, I think, suits my skin complexion quite a bit, and is nice and soft. So it's a keeper. Again, so many jumpers. I have knitted, in this case, the third size, and yeah, it works fine. I think this is one of those that the pattern is written for DK yarn, and I went down to get a fingering weight yarn to work. You may ask why bothering knitting fingering weight. It's a longer work. I can't say I enjoy more knitting fingering weight yarn, but the thing is that I'm wearing them more, I'm wearing the jumpers more. DK yarn is very heavy for the climate I'm in. I live in Ireland, it's never too cold, apart from these 3 days, it's absolutely freezing. It's never too warm, so you end up wearing a jumper almost all year round over here. Not too heavy though, you can't get too much heat on you. It gets uncomfortable and so on and so forth. So fingering weight for me is the perfect way of yarn. We are almost at the end. Let's get through the next two. Here we go, another cable Aran looking jumper knitted in the round. This is the Billy pullover by... what am I saying? This is the Moby sweater by Petite Knit. And I've knitted this using this gorgeous yarn, which is Sandnes Garn Pure Gint blue with some grey with some blue speckles. I hope you can see it. It's one of my favorite jumpers. It's a bit more sizable, less positivist than my previous jumpers, and I find that I wear this when I need to be cozy and don't caring about the shape and the fit, and I wear this a lot as well. I have a big love for Peer Gynt as a yarn, and I found a big love for a cable sweater. I think they are very stylish. I don't know if it's because of the season, because of the place that I'm in. These are quite classic Irish type of looking knits, so it makes me feel part of the environment like I was a leprechaun. And they are gorgeous. Nothing much to say. I needed the second size up. The small size, I think it is the second size, and I used 13 balls of yarn. I'm repeating this because I know that I won't remember how many balls of yarns, and when I'm in a rush of buying yarns on a website, I won't check my Ravelry page. So repeating this, I really hope it stays in my mind, and when I buy yarn, I don't buy 20 balls of yarn, or because I'm cheap, 10 balls of yarn, but I go right to the actual amount of yarn that I need for this type of jumpers. So 13 balls of yarn. The construction of all of this cable sweater that I show you is more or less the same. You cast on the back, you knit a piece of the back, then you join in the front, knit a bit separate, and then connect for the pipe, and then you have the sleeves. It's quite easy. I always made modification for these jumpers at the shoulders especially. They are all knitted with very wide shoulders. I like to decrease, and you heard a notification from my boss. It's almost 7 in the evening and I shouldn't be called in work at this time, but life. Anyway, I was saying that I like to decrease on the underside, on the underarm, going down. I like to create a bit of a, once again, funner shape towards my wrist. And all of these jumpers have some elastic band as well that I sew in from the inside. Let me take this off, check what my manager wants, and then I'll come back to you in a second. And lastly, we have the first knit of the year, which is probably my favorite knit overall. This is the Navia sweater with raglan. Let me show you. It's a very simple design. It's teeny tiny bit of color work, raglan decreases, and a beautiful shape. I knitted the second size up, and this is knitted once again in the big amount of Drops Fable that I bought last year, that I was telling you. This has a lot of work behind it. Not on the knitting itself, the knitting is quite simple and straightforward, but on the translation of the pattern. The pattern is for sale, so you don't get an English version of the pattern, but only, I don't know if Danish or some Nordic language, which took a lot from me. I translated it using Google Translate and then some help from people all around here. The thing about the pattern was that the raglan decreases were very beautiful, and I really wanted to get the same decreases of the pattern, but the pattern was very obscure on how to decrease for the raglan. I reached out to them. They were kind to say that someone would come back to me eventually, but nobody came back to me, so I had to figure it out, and I wasn't able to. At some point, someone suggested to try a full fashion cable decrease, which is something is even difficult to say, and I really didn't have the mind space of looking into that and try. I wanted this finish, I don't know why, probably it was in a bit of a slump of knitting, but I ended up choosing a simple raglan decrease with knit 2 together and SSKs, so that worked out completely fine because the top is quite white, quite light in color, so you don't really see it. It's one of my favorite because I really love this divide. I think it gives to my shoulder a bit of strength or a bit of a size, which is something I'm working on. And yeah, it's a really beautiful. The pattern is for sale. I really wish it wasn't because it's so simple and you can just use the pattern with your own color work. It's just that simple. You don't have to count or do anything to center. That was it for this video. Yes, I have 2 more things that I need to mention. One is a test knit that I have done for Alicia Plummer. It's the Forester jumper with a zipper. I think the jumper is out now as a proper pattern. It's a very gorgeous little jumper. I don't know if I have pictures, I'm gonna put it here. It's a nice sweater. I'm wearing it not that much, but it's probably a combination of the yarn I chose and this and that, but it just was my very first test knit, and I knitted up there in like 2 weeks, probably less, and I just wanted to get all my feedback to Alicia and get the project done. That gave me a lot of anxiety, so probably I transfer part of that anxiety into my knit and made me not love it as much as I should. I might try and make another one of those and see how it works. We'll see. The other one is the Zipper Sweater Light by Petite Knit. I have knitted 2 of them and they didn't work out. Were too large. I tried different gauges, different sizes, didn't work out. So I'm not even going to put a picture here because I think I didn't take a picture. Didn't like them. It was just an exercise of learning how to install a zipper in a sweater. And that's done, that's it. I'm happy I purchased the pattern. Happy I knitted it. I wished it was a better result, but yeah, you live and you learn. I really hope you enjoyed this little video. I know it was a bit rushed, but if you have any questions on any of the knits, please send me a message, leave a comment below, and I'll be absolutely delighted to answer any of your questions. Once again, you can find all this project in my links below, in my Ravelry page, and on my Instagram account at An Irish Knitting Podcast. I will see you very soon with another podcast. Bye bye. And yeah, I've been trying to take a nice selfie for the, what you call it, the thumbnail, but that doesn't really work. We'll see what thumbnail I get. Ciao!